I'm always truly fascinated by stories that are able to take like the craziest fucking twists and just to make you want everything all at once. Welcome back to the doctor's office. I am Dr. Carrie Knight, here to give you proper diagnosis and prognosis and everything comics and comic book characters. We have to get into this. Tin Can Society. Now, as you know, I have been actively covering the Tin Can Society since issue 1. In issue 1, we found Johnny Moore, aka Caliburn, murdered disgustingly in his own apartment. Right? Right. We then find out in this last issue that inside of the Caliburn suit that has been just going off everywhere, mind you, Johnny is dead. Inside of this Caliburn suit is a baby. Now, here we are with the group. The group has the baby. The sister to the guy that Johnny had killed on accident is dead. She got shot in the head. That's where we found the baby, inside of the Caliburn suit. And so the group is trying to figure out, like, what the hell are we going to do? They're like, maybe we can drop him off somewhere. And Cage is just like, no, we're keeping him. They're like, what are we going to do with a baby? And she's like, it doesn't matter. She knew the baby was Johnny's when the baby opened his eyes. Had Johnny's eyes. Looks just like Johnny, honestly. And so they're very much confused. But they decide to go to the source of the problem. Johnny's widowed wife. The most famous actress in the world at the time, who is now the CEO of More Progress, now that Johnny is dead. Okay, so she starts getting into the story. Well, Kasia starts like recalling exactly what was going on. So, I think she said about 4 years after he came to her to tell her that he was Caliburn, he just decided, hey, I'm going to reveal my identity to the world. And when they were talking to his widowed wife, she was like, y'all just don't understand that he was like a world-class a-hole. Baby girl. You don't think we do that? We've been friends since we were little. Of course we fucking know that. So, after he reveals himself as Caliburn to Kasia, and they're literally sleeping together for 4 years at this point, he reveals his identity to the world and then starts dating whatever her name is, the actress, most famous actress in the world. So not only is he the founder and CEO of More Progress, dating the most famous actress in the world, he is also a fucking superhero. A superhero whose identity is known to everybody. Now, there are a couple problems happening in this issue. Firstly, over in, I want to say it's like an African country. I don't know the name of it. It'll pop up on the page that pops up. But there's like a little boy who gets a phone and he's live when this guy gets shot in the face behind him while he's on live. And then he goes outside and there are a bunch of these fucking Caliburn suits. These autonomous Caliburn suits. And they just go about killing everybody there. The footage is leaked, so of course, she being the CEO now has to play PR. And at that point, she has to do damage control. And she's like, we're going to be doing an investigation into this because this is not what we wanted. And so she then starts talking about how at first he really did want the suits to be autonomous. But after they had a test run in one of the deserts, he was like, fuck no, because it was supposed to simulate like a riot situation, but all of the people who were in that simulation, where it wasn't really a real situation, it was just a live fire training exercise, they all died. And she was like, I don't know how like they were going to keep those deaths quiet, but they had for at that point in time until it got revealed. So when he became the public superhero, he no longer needed a photographer or a bed to lie in to get that adrenaline to come down. He didn't need a sidekick in Gary. He didn't need Adam for muscle. And he certainly didn't need Val. Val was already gone. Well, Val was gone, and then after all of that stuff happened, he needed Val again. Val was gone a second time. They know what kind of person Johnny is, or Johnny was. They knew exactly what kind of person Johnny was. She just had to figure it out after being with him. So when they pulled up there, they're like, oh, look, it's Mom. And she was like explaining the whole situation. So basically the chairwoman, who's like Cheryl or Sharon, something like that, she wanted to continue that project with all of the Caliburn suits being autonomous, and he didn't want that. She found a loophole though. They could use his tissue because it attaches to that thing in his spine, so it uses his spinal fluid. So the only way to do that though is to have like that exact copy of DNA. That's where old girl comes in. She slept with him, grabbed his sperm, they create a baby. Well, grabbed his sperm, and then they were looking for that guy's sister. When they found out that Johnny had been paying her all of that money for all that time, they tracked her down, and they go to her house and they're like, we know who killed your brother, you want to do something about it? Of course she does. So she ended up carrying the baby. When the baby was born, they took it and cut into his spine so that they could use his spinal fluid to operate the Caliburn suits. Insanity. And I'm just like, oh my God, that poor baby. So the baby had to also be inside of the Caliburn suit. So she's like, I used to have nightmares about it, like waking up, like they're like, what's going on? So we find out who is the one who killed Johnny. The Caliburn suit with his baby in it killed Johnny. So basically the chairwoman of More Progress killed Johnny is what that is. And then everything that happened that involved the Caliburn suit, like when they attacked Gary and all this other stuff, that was the chairwoman from More Progress operating that suit with the baby in it. So when the suit came back to the mother, she took the baby out to take care of the baby. Now, the widowed wife is giving all of this information, and she's like, it's good to talk it out. I really just needed to stall for time. So of course Gary's just like, everybody get down. These like soldiers come in, and everybody just starts fighting. Kasia has the baby, hands the baby off to Val. Val gets pushed, and the baby kind of just goes flying. Adam tries to catch him. Gary tries to catch him, and Kasia does catch him, and she's standing over him as like, it's best for everyone if I literally just shoot him and kill him. So I'm not disagreeing, but whatever. So she's getting ready to do that, except a Caliburn suit comes in and starts lighting everybody up, uses like this kind of like blast to knock everybody out, and everybody is looking like, who the fuck is that? It's fucking Johnny. When I tell y'all, for like a couple of days, I'm sitting there like, I had to go back to the story because I was like, does he have a twin? What is happening? Because literally the way they had his body splattered onto the floor, like he'd been stapled through the fucking floorboards, I mean, it was dead. So what is this? This feels like one of those DNA things where he found a way to like clone himself just based on how they literally just fucking did this. Like he found a way to clone himself, and his clone is actually what got killed, or who got killed by that rogue Caliburn suit from the chairwoman. That's what this feels like to me. And I swear if I call it, I should be a comic book writer. But honestly, this is such a fucking fantastic story. That twist at the end when he takes his fucking helmet off, and the baby actually is like, oh my God, like looks like he knows who that is. So I'm also kind of wondering, did he know about the baby? See, this is what you do. This is how you write a story. Because no lie, look at that baby's face. That baby looks like he knows who that is. So I'm wondering. This is very interesting. this is a very interesting story. This is such a good story. Image. See what happens when you don't have restraints? When you don't have to connect the story to another story and you can just tell an original ass fucking story. This is crazy. Mad wild. And I'm very impressed. I really like this story. I really like this book. And I'm going to continue to read it up until, it's the end. And I hope that they have a continuation at the end of all this. And I hope that if that is Johnny, Keisha whoops his ass. She deserves to. But that is it for this episode of The Doctor's Office. And I will see you guys at your next checkup.